time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? So glad to be with you guys this week. And this week is key. Every week matters in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. But you're looking at two prominent, kind of talented rosters with great defenses that have big expectations. Now, they're both 1-1, the 49ers versus Broncos this week, and there are so many storylines that go into these two teams. And we're going to dive into all of them. We're going to preview matchups, things to watch for, all kinds of predictions, betting specials, everything you need to know before you leave this episode. You're going to know what's going on with the 49ers Broncos week 3 matchup. Now, Denver struggled out of the gate. There's no doubt about it. And they both played against the Seahawks. Seahawks beat Denver. The 49ers destroyed the Seahawks by 20 points just last week. And so they've struggled. Russell Wilson's looked good. They just haven't meshed yet. And so that's interesting. It's really, really interesting. Now, the 49ers last week, they got the monkey off their back by finally beating Seattle. But there's a caveat. Captain Cringe, Russell Wilson, was not there. He's now for the Broncos, right? So what's that going to look like, and how is that going to go? And the win last week for the 49ers came at a cost. Trey Lance, the promising young rookie, lost for the season. Jimmy Garoppolo steps in rather seamlessly. And so here we go. We've got Russell Wilson versus Jimmy Garoppolo. And so this is going to be an interesting matchup. And I do want to say thank you to Coach Cruz. He did a hell of a job, a lot of research, produced this episode. So just want to say thank you to him. Great dude, does great work. And as we dive into all these stats and rankings to try to uncover what these teams have and what they don't have, where their strengths and weaknesses are, and things like that, just keep in mind, it's only been 2 weeks into the season. So it's a very small sample size, but the one thing that I think both these teams have in common, besides their record being 1-1, they have played inferior opponents, both games. If you look at the Broncos, they played the Texans and the Seahawks, both bad teams. 49ers played the Seahawks and Bears, both bad teams. And similarly, they both lost to a bad team. 49ers lost to the Bears week 1. Broncos lost to the Seahawks week 1. So there's a lot there. Now, if we look at the Broncos just stats and overall rankings, they're third in points allowed, which is interesting. They have a great defense. They have a great defense. We'll detail that a little bit more. If you look offensively, 24th in points per game. Not great. They put up 16 points both games. So it's kind of like the first 1 to 20 wins. That's key for me. First 1 to 20 is going to win this game. Now, Pro Football Focus rankings for their entire kind of group. Overall team, the Broncos rank 11th. Very, very good team. They just haven't cashed in when it mattered most. They're over 6 in the red zone. They have not scored 1 touchdown in the red zone yet. Defense, 10th overall. Defense tied for 8th overall. Offense, 10th overall. Special teams, 29th. Could the special teams be another thing that could shift the game the 49ers way? That's something that I'm really, really curious to see. Now, the 49ers ranks, just to kind of put that into perspective, overall, they're tied 9th on Pro Football Focus. Offense is 19th, hasn't been very efficient, and defense 2nd. That's the kicker. Special teams tied 22nd. So no doubt about it, the 49ers are ranked kind of ahead everywhere except for offensively. Denver Broncos can put up a lot of yards. They just haven't cashed in those for touchdowns. Hopefully, that will continue again this week. Now, they have a new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, who is 1-1, obviously, his first year as a head coach. And, man, does he have a lot of ties to Coach Shanahan. Listen to Coach Shanahan talk about his relationship with Coach Nathaniel Hackett.
I've always been a big fan of Nate, starting with his dad. Paul Hackett was my second year in Tampa Bay. He was the quarterback coach and really one of the most influential guys I had there. He was unbelievable to me and taught me so much stuff. And when I left, Nate came in, I believe. I think it was Nate. I think Sean was after Nate. But yes, I've always kept in touch with him, known him through his dad, but never worked together. He was the guy that we were possibly going to bring here when Mike was thinking about going with his brother. So we've gotten close a couple of times, but got a lot of respect for him and been around a lot of similar coaches.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections there. There's no doubt about it. And if he was with the Packers OC job, he was with the Jags OC job, and then kind of what Kyle just detailed there, these guys, their paths have overlapped a lot, even though they've never worked together. He's a good coach. Aaron Rodgers swears up and down by him. Part of the reason why the Broncos brought in Hackett was to land either Aaron Rodgers in a trade or Russell Wilson, and they ended up with Russell Wilson. Now, if you want to dive into a little bit more of the scheme and the film of all those things that the Broncos do, man, guess what? We got you. If you head over to our Patreon channel, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast, we got the all 22 broken down. That's coming out Thursday night, depending on when you're watching this. So like that's up. It's up. So head over there, check it out. It's incredible. You want to see their offense, defense, all those different things. We got it broken down so you know exactly where the 49ers can attack and all those things. That's on our Patreon channel, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. Now, let's talk injuries because there's a lot on both sides. George Kittle's probably the biggest one. I've said this several times this week. I was wrong last week. I really thought George was going to play. He didn't play. He's going to play this week. And I feel very confident in that. Kyle's talked about how they expect him to play as well. He almost played last week, but with the rain and the groin injury, they didn't want to aggravate that at all. Eric Armstead, foot. He was a non-participant in Wednesday's practice, but still, Kyle feels like he's going to play. Trey Lance on IR, unfortunately. Daniel Brunskill not expected to be back this week. Tyler Kroft, doubt that he's going to be there. He's got that MCL sprain. He's going to be out a couple weeks as well. But with Kittle coming back, you still got Kittle, Dwelly Warner, 2021 coming back. And then Ty Davis-Price, he's out as well for several weeks. So you've got some shifting taking place. Kittle in, Kroft out. That's a huge plus. Ty Davis-Price out. Marlon Mack and Jordan Mason, if they'll give them carries in, I think that's important. Now, the Broncos, they have even more injuries. Now, they might not be as big term issues. Jeffrey Simmons, their stud safety's out, just like ours. Jimmy Ward, both out. And if we're just looking at practice reports, Randy Gregory missing time with a knee. He's questionable, but we'll have to see how that goes. Jerry Jeudy, rib and shoulder. He hasn't been practicing, but I do think he will play. DJ Jones, return to the Jones, baby. He's got an ankle injury. I do expect him to play. Almost all these guys I expect to play, but they are banged up. Quinn Myers, who I really, really like, hamstring. Corner, Darius Phillips. And star corner, Patrick Surtain, out with the shoulder. So we'll have to see. And then even if you look at just the players that have been limited in practice, KJ Hamler, their slot wide receiver, Josie Jewell, their best linebacker, Caden Stearns, their safety. They've got a lot of issues injury-wise with their secondary. So is that something that Jimmy Garoppolo could exploit? We'll see. We saw Jimmy throw it downfield whenever he stepped in week 2. Gosh, I hope they keep that. If there's one thing that I could just scream into Shanahan's ear, not that he wants my advice whatsoever, it's let Jimmy throw the ball deep some, even if it's not completed, even if whatever, it forces the defense out of that 5 and 6 man front on the D line, which we've seen so much under Jimmy Garoppolo's tutelage. Now, history of the matchup. These two teams have played 15 times. The 49ers lead the series 8-7. And the last time they played was 2018. 49ers won that game 20-14. It was a weird game. 49ers were up 20-0 at halftime under the great Nick Mullins. He threw for 332 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception against Case Keenum. Teams change, man. That's all I got to say. Dante Pettis had 3 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. But the biggest performance was by Kittle, and I'm glad he's back for this. Kittle had 210 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. Was just crazy back in the day. Now, these two teams are different. Denver's got a new coaching staff, new quarterback. I mean, it's not even close to the same thing. Now, there are some players on Denver's roster that we're going to see that we were huge draft targets. Nick Bonito, who was the second round edge rusher. I had Drake Jackson ahead of him. And if you watched our draft coverage, Wayne Breezy was preaching for Nick Bonito. I was going for Drake Jackson, and I love both of them. I thought Drake was a better fit for us, but I didn't think Drake was going to be there at 61. I thought Nick Bonito would. So it is kind of interesting because they're kind of edge guys that went kind of back to back. And so that's something to keep an eye on as well. Starters that they've added this year, the Broncos. Russell Wilson obviously traded all that capital and players. Hasn't panned out yet. The whole let's ride, all that stuff, not working yet. Nobody's riding anywhere. And even last week, if you watched the game on the broadcasting, the crowd was starting to like boo. They were frustrated. I mean, so I'm hoping we can kind of capitalize on a little bit of that sentiment this week, which we're going to be there, baby. And if you are coming out, man, we're going to have a great time in Denver. That's all I got to say. We got the great Navarro Bowman, who just got announced as a Hall of Fame nominee. He's going to be out there. Get your tickets, 49ersrushroadtrip.com. That's Saturday night. We've got our Denver tailgate, which is going to be awesome. We're going to walk to the stadium together. We got a huge party as we watch the earlier games because, again, this is Sunday night football matchup. So we get to watch the late games. We get to party, and then we're going to walk to the stadium together, show everybody what the faithful's about. Look for the flag that's out there, 49ers Rush Road Trip. And so, again, if you haven't got your tickets yet, and this is for every away game this year, plus the Miami home game. We're doing one home game. Everybody kept saying, do a home game. We're doing the Miami game. So if you want to come party with us the night before the tailgate, we got you covered. The whole idea is to build the community, to have fun, be around safe place, family-friendly environment. Yeah, there's drinks and things involved, but we don't get rowdy. That's not really our thing. We want to build the community and represent the 49ers in a positive way, which is very, very important to me. Now, sticking with all those starters, okay, that the Denver Broncos are kind of cashing in. They think they're ready to win now. Randy Gregory, they brought him over for Dallas. He's been great. DJ Jones, they paid top dollar for to get away from us. He's been great. K'Wan Williams, Shark, baby. Our nickel corner for so long. He's there now. So they've added a lot of starters on the defensive side, especially in Russell Wilson. That's kind of what they've done. Now, if we look at their defense and just their ranks, okay, they're good. Denver's defense, they're first in red zone percentage. They have not allowed any touchdowns. So teams have been in the red zone against them 6 times, 0 touchdowns. 49ers have to capitalize on that. There's going to be a lot of field goals in this game because of the defenses, but you got to get a couple touchdowns. Got to. First in rushing touchdowns allowed. They've allowed 0 rushing touchdowns. Third in total points allowed, only 13 points per game. -2 in the turnover category, which is interesting. Got to capitalize on those. Russell will throw interceptions. Russell will fumble. When you get those chances, you got to cash them in. 5th in pass yards allowed. 3rd in total yards allowed, only 243 yards per game. It's going to be a defensive-driven game on both sides, but you cannot allow them to kind of load the box and stop the run game. You can't. You have to keep the run game going. So overall, they're 5th in defensive DVOA. Again, their strength on defense comes from their edge rushers. You've got Randy Gregory, who we talked about, and Bradley Chubb, who is freaking awesome. He had a huge injury, but before that, I thought he was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, before we jump to the offense, real quick word from our sponsor. You guys know what it is. It is winning season at MyBookie. As always, if you want to enjoy the football games, 49ers, or just NFL, or really any sport in general, you can bet on anything over there. MyBookie.ag. We've been with them for years. Very trusted site. Get your money in, get your money out easily. And on top of that, all season, double deposit bonus. Whenever you first deposit your money, let's say you deposit $250, you get $500 credited to your account if you just use our promo code 49ERS or scan this QR code right to the side of me if you're watching this on YouTube. And again, it just sets you up completely. My bookie is incredible. Bet with us. We're on Patreon. We share our bets every single week, all season long. So join us, mybookie.ag, promo code 49ers. Bet anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Now, we're going to conclude this episode with some bets that we really like this week, which last week was a good week. Ended in the positive territory. The Trey Lance injury kind of hurt us a little bit, but we'll be sharing those. And again, everything I bet, I put on Patreon. So again, just another opportunity for you to take part with us. And it's about entertainment. It's about fun. It just increases your experience. And it's fun when you make money on top of it. Now, offensively for the Denver Broncos, they're a mess. They're just a mess. They have not gelled. And the fact that the Broncos have struggled so much against bad defenses scares me a little bit whenever you're talking about the 49ers. They have not played a team close to what the 49ers have on that side of the ball. So offensive rank for the Broncos, third in interceptions. They've only thrown one. 17th in passing touchdowns, only thrown 2 of those. 15th, right near the middle, in third down percentage. 11 for 27 on third downs. They're not sustaining any long drives. Now, red zone percentage, 31st in the league. Just like their defense, offense, 0 for 6. They're not scored when they get in there. 49ers, I think, have one of the best red zone defenses, and so I hope that continues. You know, one of my favorite bets this week is Broncos over 1.5 field goals. So basically 2 field goals or more, you get paid. I put big on that one just because I think this is going to be a field goal game. I just really, really do. And points are going to be at a premium, that whole race to 20 thing. So any points are good points. Now, their 21st offensive DVOA, which kind of ranks like per play, how they are. That's not good. They're going to be a much improved team. It's just a matter of when. Russell Wilson's great. He's really, really good. I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame eventually, probably not first ballot or anything like that, but he is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And Kyle Shanahan was asked, what's it like going against Russell Wilson?
I mean, they've had 2 games, but I mean, he still looks like Russ, that he can make a lot of plays at any time. They had a lot of opportunities and they just came up short. The times they did score were always with big plays that Russ made. He made a go route that got him to the 2-yard line, a PI that got him to the 2. They made a big go on third down. He made the fade tight end to the fade throw to the tight end from like the 22-yard line. I mean, Russ makes plays, and you can't fall asleep on him. No matter how much you hold him down or you hold their offense down, whether it's Seattle or whether it's Denver, Russ can change that game at any time.
And let's be honest, he has completely dominated the 49ers on bad rosters with the Seattle Seahawks. You overcame half that by destroying the Seahawks last week. Can you split them up? Maybe they're not as good as the sum of their parts, right? That's the idea. And that's what the 49ers are hoping for. And this defense is made to shut Russell Wilson down. You just got to seize those opportunities. You got to make those work whenever you get them. Now, not just Russell Wilson on offense. I think they have one of the best running back tandems in the NFL. Javonte Williams is incredible. Running back out of North Carolina. I loved him out of the draft. You got Gordon as well there. Nice 1-2 punch. Cortland Sutton, one of my favorite players. I remember watching him in high school. I remember watching him in college. I love that guy. He was my wide receiver 1 that year in the draft. He's been unreal. He's the only wide receiver that has a better run blocking grade in the NFL than Juwan Jennings. Like, he is a physical, do-it-all, big X-type wide receiver. I'm a big fan of Cortland Sutton. So our corners are going to have it made out for him, but both of our corners kind of specialize in going against those physical wide receivers. Look what happened to DK Metcalf last week, right? Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward, they're not big, but they play very well against physical wide receivers. Now, Jerry Jeudy, is he going to go? I do think he will. That's the one that I'm kind of concerned about. Not so much for like the big, deep plays. I'm concerned he's going to get that space created against Samuel Womack. That's what I'm most concerned about. That matchup is rookie Samuel Womack against Jerry Jeudy, the route running specialist. We're going to find out exactly how good Womack is. So pretty excited about that one. Interior of offensive line has struggled. So again, Armstead, who's been troubled with a foot, if Armstead and Kinlaw, Ridgeway, Givens, those guys need to do something. You got to set this team back and then allow the defensive ends to capitalize on 3rd and long. Now, connections between these teams, and there are plenty. K'Wan Williams, DJ Jones, Jonas Griffith. We traded him there last year. Not far and removed at all. Mitch Wisnowski was teammates with Tim Patrick, who's on IR, unfortunately. I like Tim Patrick's game. They were teammates at Utah. Josie Jewell and George Kittle, guess what? Teammates at Iowa. They're going to be going against each other on some reps. That's going to be fun. And then Trey Lance, who's injured now, and Darius Shepard, who's on their practice squad. They were both together at North Dakota State. So lots of different connections. You heard Kyle Shanahan talk about Coach Hackett. There's just a lot there. John Lynch, our GM, obviously what he was able to do at Denver, Mike Shanahan, it just goes on and on and on. The overlap between these two teams, it means something to the players on the sideline and the coaches there. It matters because the connections, it really, really does. Now, some of the bets that we have this week, again, we'll share all of the bets over on our Patreon, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. And any bet that I mention, I put my own money on. I don't bet a lot, but I do it for entertainment. So I am taking the 49ers to cover the spread. It's 1.5 point. The 49ers are favored on the road. One of 5 teams this week that are favored on the road. I'm taking them to cover the spread. I am also betting the under. I'm really big on the under. 44.5 points. I'm betting 5, win 4.5 there. And then I've got a 2-team teaser. It's a plus 6-point teaser. So both these things have to happen. I'm taking the 49ers because when you add that 6 points, the 49ers get 4.5 points, which means the 49ers could lose by a field goal and we still win. And the Chiefs plus 0.5 point, which I'm taking the Chiefs. They just look too dang good. Bet 10 to win 8 on that one. I've got a bunch more bets and player props and things like that. And again, I'll share those over on Patreon if you want to join us. Now, game predictions. All right, here we go. The 49ers have been notorious under Kyle Shanahan for getting out to good starts early in the season and early in the game. I think that continues. I really, really do. He's one of the best play scripters out there in the NFL. And I think the 49ers start hot, offensively and defensively. Now, Denver's going to go out there and try to do base defense and stop this 49ers rushing attack. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And so I have the 49ers scoring first, jumping out to a lead, building up that lead by more than 10 points going into the half. But then the adjustments start. That's whenever we see teams load the box, 5-man front, 6-man front, doing everything they can to sell out and stop the run. We have not seen Jimmy overcome that yet. That's one of the things that I'm kind of worried about, is that if they stack the box and Jimmy isn't throwing deep, it's just going to turn into a slow, methodical game. Now, the key to this game, it's the 49ers defense. I started off talking about the offense. Don't care. 49ers defense can win this game. Can they stop Russell Wilson on those long scrambles where the play breaks down and he's all over the place and throws it or slides and gets, a 15-yard penalty? Those are the key things. So my key stat to win this game, all right, write this one down. 49ers cannot miss 3 tackles or more on Russell Wilson. That's it. When you get to Russell, you got to make him pay. Not with hard hits or anything. You just got to bring him down. You cannot let him elongate the play for busted coverages in the back and then bad things happen. Can't do that. When you get Russ in the backfield, you got to end the play. That's huge. So 3 tackles, 3 missed tackles on Russ. I think the 49ers lose this game. Now, turnovers obviously always play a factor. And I'm assuming turnover factor is going to be kind of even. Jimmy's going to put the ball up in dangerous territory. We know that. Whether it's linebackers or safeties, whatever, it's going to happen. Russell does too. And they fumble the ball a lot in Denver. So I'm predicting turnover ratio is going to be pretty much similar for both teams. Missed tackles on Russ is huge. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game just because of how good these defenses are and how these offenses just are not gelling inside the red zone. Lots of field goals for both teams. Again, 49ers get a big lead early, and they hang on to win. How do they win? A big sack to close out this game. I got the 49ers winning 24-19. We bet the under. I got the 49ers covering. Defense is going to have to seal the deal. Broncos have not breached 20 points yet on offense, and I don't think they do it again. The race to 20 is on. Whoever scores the first, whatever team gets to 20 first, that team is going to win. Now, we're going to be live almost all weekend in Denver. And again, if you see me, I keep getting these emails from people who are like, oh, I saw you so-and-so, but I didn't want to come say hi. You look busy. I'm busy all the time. That's okay. You are a priority. So if you see me, I don't care if I'm talking to somebody else, come say what's up. And, I'll be able to say like, oh, hold on just a second, and I'll finish this conversation or point. Please, I want to make those connections. They're very, very important to me. And if you are coming out, 49ersrushroadtrip.com. 49ers, this is a statement game for both these teams. By no means is the loser out. I don't think that this game will show whether or not you're ready for the playoffs or not. I think this game shows whether or not you are a top-tier NFL team. You got to beat good teams. You got to. Week 3, nobody's going to be eliminated from the playoffs out of the whoever loses, but you can make a statement. This is so big this week. Make a statement. You don't want to go 1-2. You want to be on the winning side, 2-1. I got the 49ers winning. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you want more content, man, we got an extra bonus episode we just did on Patreon. Go check it out. Appreciate y'all. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.